The old scanner beeped steadily as Professor Reed's research ship drifted through the asteroid field. He had been searching this remote sector for 3 months now, following scattered readings that suggested the presence of artificial structures. Most of his colleagues at the Galactic Archaeological Institute had laughed at his decision to explore this empty region of space, but Reed trusted his instincts. "Professor," Tom, his young assistant, called from the scanning station. "You need to see this." Reed floated across the bridge, his silver hair catching the dim light of distant stars. The scanner showed something massive hidden between 2 asteroids, something that definitely wasn't natural. "Full stop," Reed ordered, and the ship's engines hummed to a halt. "Launch the probe drones." Through the main view screen, Reed watched as 3 small drones shot out from their ship, their lights piercing the darkness. The entire bridge crew held their breath as the first images came back. That's a ship," Tom whispered, his eyes wide. "A massive one." But it wasn't just one ship. As the drones moved further into the asteroid field, they revealed more and more vessels, each covered in thick layers of space dust. Reed counted at least 30 ships of varying sizes, all arranged in a deliberate formation. "Look at the design," Reed muttered, zooming in on the nearest vessel. "I've never seen anything like it. It almost looks primitive." The ships were built with sharp angles and thick armor plates, nothing like the sleek designs used by modern spacefaring races. Their hulls were scarred and weathered, telling tales of ancient battles long forgotten. Reed immediately sent a message to the Galactic Council, requesting additional research vessels and protection for the site. Within hours, news of the discovery spread across the galaxy, drawing both excitement and dismissal from different quarters. 3 days later, Reed stood in the massive hangar of what appeared to be the fleet's flagship. His team had managed to cut through one of the outer doors, and now they were the first people to step foot in this ship in what must have been thousands of years. "The air filtration still works," Lisa, their environmental specialist, announced, checking her instruments. "That's impossible for something this old." Reed shone his light around the hangar. Everything was covered in a fine layer of dust, but underneath, he could see that the metal still held its structure perfectly. No rust, no degradation, just age. "The dating scans say these ships are over 5,000 years old," Tom reported, frowning at his tablet. "But that can't be right. The metal alloys shouldn't have survived this well." Reed walked up to one of the walls, wiping away centuries of dust with his gloved hand. Underneath, he found markings that made his heart skip a beat. "Tom," he called out, his voice shaking slightly. "Come look at these symbols." The young assistant hurried over, shining his light on the exposed section of wall. The symbols were simple, blocky, and instantly recognizable to any human. "Those are letters," Tom said in disbelief. "English letters." Before anyone could respond, their communicators crackled with an incoming message from the Galactic Council. Reed answered, and a hologram of Council member Vax appeared in the dusty air of the hangar. "Professor Reed," the alien official said, his tone dismissive, "we've reviewed your initial report. While the discovery of any ancient fleet is noteworthy, your suggestion that these vessels might have human origins is amusing. Council member, if you could just send a team to verify." "Professor," Vax interrupted, "humans have been a spacefaring race for barely 2 centuries. These ships, by your own dating, are thousands of years old. Please focus on cataloging the actual civilization that built these vessels, rather than inventing fantastic theories." The hologram disappeared, leaving Reed standing in the dim hangar. He looked again at the English letters on the wall, then at the impossibly well-preserved metal around them. "They don't want to believe it," he said quietly, "but we found something incredible here. Something that's going to change everything we think we know about human history." In the darkness of the hangar, surrounded by ancient mysteries, Reed didn't know whether to feel excited or afraid. One thing was certain, This was just the beginning of a discovery that would shake the foundations of galactic society. 1 week after the initial discovery, Reed's team had set up a proper research base inside the ancient flagship's massive hangar. Portable lights illuminated the dusty space, revealing more and more mysteries with each passing day. "Professor Reed," Lisa called out from across the hangar, "we've managed to get into the ship's bridge." Reed hurried through the corridors, following Lisa's excited voice. The bridge was smaller than modern command centers, but something about its layout felt strangely familiar. 5 chair-like structures faced forward, each positioned to give its occupant a clear view through the massive front viewport. "Look at this," Tom said, pointing to one of the chairs. "The size and shape. They're made for human bodies." Reed ran his hand along the ancient control panel. Under centuries of dust, he could make out labels and markings. His heart began to race as he carefully cleaned one section with a soft brush. "Engine control," he read aloud, in perfect English. The team worked through the night, carefully documenting everything they found. Each new discovery pointed to the same impossible conclusion. This fleet had been built by humans thousands of years before humanity was supposed to have achieved spaceflight. The next morning, a small fleet of Galactic Council ships arrived. Council member Vax stepped onto the bridge, followed by a group of alien scientists. His 4 eyes narrowed as he looked around the ancient command center. "Interesting design," Vax said coldly. "Primitive, but interesting. Have you determined which ancient race built these vessels?" Reed took a deep breath. "Yes, Council member. All evidence points to human origins. The writing, the ergonomics, the basic design principles." Laughter interrupted him. The alien scientists were chuckling, their various appendages shaking with amusement. "Professor Reed," Vax said, trying to hide his own smile, "your species still used combustion engines when we first met you. These ships, while crude, show signs of faster-than-light technology. Are you suggesting that humans somehow achieved this, lost it all, and then forgot about it?" "I'm suggesting we look at the evidence," Reed replied firmly. He walked over to a sealed door at the back of the bridge. "We haven't opened this room yet. Would you like to be present for its inspection?" Vax nodded, clearly expecting another disappointment. Reed's team carefully cut through the ancient seals. The door slid open with a hiss of preserved air. Inside, they found what appeared to be the captain's quarters: a desk, a bed, and most importantly, a wall covered in photographs. Reed's light revealed images of Earth, old Earth, with cities that no longer existed and coastlines that had long since changed. "That's impossible," one of the alien scientists muttered. Reed walked to the desk and opened its main drawer. Inside, he found a leather-bound book, a real paper book, perfectly preserved in the sealed room. On its first page, written in faded but legible ink, was a message: "Captain's log, Earth Fleet Ship Defender. Final entry: May 15, 3247 BCE. The evacuation is complete. Earth's population has been scattered to the designated colonies. The fleet will remain here, hidden, until it is needed again. To whoever finds this, protect humanity's legacy. They will need it someday." The room fell silent. Even Vax seemed at a loss for words. 3,000 years before what we thought was the height of ancient human civilization, Reed said quietly, "They weren't primitive. They were advanced enough to hide their true capabilities." "But why?" Tom asked. "Why would they abandon all this technology?" Before Reed could answer, alarms began blaring throughout the ship. Ancient systems, dormant for millennia, were suddenly coming to life. "Warning," a mechanical voice announced in clear English. "Threat detection protocols activated. Level 1 alert." Reed looked at the stunned faces around him. "I think," he said grimly, "we're about to find out why they left this fleet behind." The ancient ship's alarms continued to echo through its halls as Reed and his team rushed back to the bridge. The formerly dark control panels were now alive with pulsing lights, displays flickering to life after thousands of years of sleep. How is this possible? Vax demanded, his 4 eyes darting between the active screens. These systems should have degraded centuries ago. Tom was already at one of the stations, his fingers hovering over the illuminated controls. Professor, these readings, they're not what they seem. Reed hurried over to Tom's station. What looked like basic navigation controls on the surface was actually something far more complex. The primitive display was a clever disguise for what appeared to be a quantum interface system. It's a mask, Reed breathed, understanding dawning on his face. Everything we thought was primitive about these ships, it's all camouflage. Lisa called from another station, her voice filled with wonder. The ship's hull isn't just metal. It's alive, somehow. Billions of tiny machines woven into the structure itself. They've been repairing and maintaining everything for thousands of years. The mechanical voice spoke again, this time with more clarity. Identity confirmation required. Processing genetic signatures of present life forms. A soft blue light swept across the bridge, scanning everyone present. It paused when it reached Reed and Tom. Human genetic markers detected. Partial access granted. The simple displays transformed, revealing their true nature. Holographic screens materialized in the air, showing information in both ancient and modern English. The alien scientists stumbled back, their previous mockery forgotten. These ships, Reed said, reading the data, they're more advanced than anything we have today. The weapons systems alone, they're not even using conventional physics as we understand it. Vax moved closer to one of the displays, his professional dismissal cracking. Impossible. These readings suggest capabilities far beyond even theoretical limits. No race has achieved this level of technology. No current race, Tom corrected, still reading through the streaming data. Professor, according to these logs, the ancient humans didn't just have colonies, they had an entire network of worlds. But something made them hide it all. More systems activated throughout the ship. In the hangar, massive doors began to open, revealing hidden compartments filled with technology that looked brand new despite its age. The self-repairing systems had kept everything in perfect condition, waiting for the right moment. Warning, the ship's voice announced. Level 1 threat approaching Galactic Sector 7. Estimated arrival, 3 months. Activating emergency protocols. Reed found what appeared to be the main command interface. As he approached it, a message appeared. To the inheritors of this fleet. If you are reading this, humanity faces extinction once again. Our civilizations fell so that we could build this fleet in secret. We scattered ourselves among the stars, becoming refugees on countless worlds, letting our knowledge fade into myth. But we did not forget. We simply waited. These ships contain everything we learned about the universe, both its wonders and its horrors. The weapons are disguised as primitive projectile systems, but they can tear space itself apart. The engines look like basic fusion drives, but they can bend reality. Every primitive system is a mask for something far more dangerous. We hid this fleet because we knew they would return. The enemy that forced us to scatter humanity across the stars. We gave up our civilization so that our descendants would have the weapons they needed when the time came. The message faded, replaced by tactical displays showing something massive moving through deep space, still months away but heading directly toward populated systems. All this time, Reed said softly, humanity's greatest achievement wasn't reaching the stars. It was hiding how far we'd really gone. Vax stepped forward, his earlier skepticism replaced by growing dread. Professor Reed, what exactly did your ancestors hide from? Before Reed could answer, every screen on the bridge flashed red. The ship's AI displayed an image that made everyone's blood run cold. A massive fleet of biomechanical ships, larger than anything in recorded history, crawling through space like a swarm of metal insects. Threat identified, the ship announced. The Devourers have returned. 3 days after the ancient fleet's warning, the Galactic Council gathered for an emergency meeting. Reed stood before the assembled representatives of 200 species, his hologram projected in the center of the massive chamber. The Devourers aren't just another alien race, Reed explained, showing the data from the ancient ships. They're living machines that consume entire worlds to make more of themselves. Ancient humanity fought them, and barely survived. Preposterous, shouted one of the council members. If such a threat existed, our deep space sensors would have detected them years ago. Reed played the next recording from the ship's database. The chamber fell silent as they watched ancient worlds being torn apart by massive mechanical creatures, each bigger than a modern battleship. Your sensors didn't detect them because they travel through what the ancient humans called dead space, regions your technology can't scan. The human fleet was specifically designed to track them. Vax, now Reed's strongest supporter on the council, stood up. I've seen the technology in these ships myself. It's beyond anything we have. We need to activate the entire fleet immediately. Before anyone could respond, emergency alerts blared throughout the chamber. A junior officer rushed in, his scales pale with fear. The colony on New Haven is gone, he announced. Something ate the entire planet. The council erupted in chaos. On the main display, images showed a massive swarm of biomechanical creatures moving through space, leaving nothing but debris in their wake. Modern military ships that tried to stop them were swatted aside like toys. The Drachnid Empire's fleet engaged them at the Spiral Arm border, another officer reported. 300 ships against 10 of those things. The Drachnids lost every ship without damaging a single enemy vessel. Reed spoke up over the panicked voices. The ancient human fleet can fight them. That's what it was built for. But we need to act now. You expect us to trust the fate of the galaxy to ships that are thousands of years old? Asked one of the council members. Ships built by primitives. Just then, another alert sounded. The Devourers had changed course. They were heading straight for the galactic core, where most of the council's species had their homeworlds. Council member Vax, Reed said urgently, remember how the primitive weapons looked. They're not what they seem. Nothing in that fleet is what it seems. Vax stood again. I move that we give Professor Reed full authority to activate the human fleet. We've already seen our most advanced weapons fail. What do we have to lose? The council argued for precious hours while more reports of destroyed worlds came in. The Devourers were moving faster now, consuming everything in their path. Modern shields couldn't stop them. Modern weapons couldn't harm them. Finally, as news arrived of another destroyed fleet, the council voted. Reed was given emergency powers to activate the ancient ships. Tom, Reed called through his communicator. Start the power-up sequence. All ships. Back in the asteroid field, the ancient fleet began to stir. What looked like rusty old engines glowed with strange energy. Armor plates shifted, revealing weapon systems that defied modern physics. In the flagship's bridge, Tom and Lisa watched in awe as the ships came to life. Energy readings are off the charts, Lisa reported. The aliens were right about one thing. These ships are thousands of years old, but they're more powerful than anything built since. The ship's eye spoke again, its voice stronger now. All systems online. Combat protocols activated. Time to target. 14 days. Probability of victory with current forces. 62%. Only 62%. Tom asked nervously. Previous encounter with Devourer forces resulted in the fall of human civilization. The AI responded. Current fleet represents total commitment of human resources and technology circa 3247 BC. All other assets were sacrificed to ensure fleet completion. Reed looked at the tactical display showing the Devourer's approach. Our ancestors gave up everything to build this fleet, he said quietly. Let's make sure it was worth it. The ancient fleet moved through space in perfect formation. 30 ships strong. What once looked like decay and rust now gleamed with power, their true nature revealed. On the flagship's bridge, Reed watched as the final systems came online. All ships reporting ready, Tom announced from his station. The AI is coordinating the entire fleet. It's beautiful to watch. Reed nodded, understanding what Tom meant. The ships moved like dancers in space, their coordination far beyond what modern fleet tactics could achieve. What had seemed like primitive engines now pulsed with strange energy that bent light around them. "Professor," Lisa called out, "you need to see this. The ships, they're changing." On the main screen, they watched as the fleet's true form emerged. Layers of artificial rust fell away like autumn leaves. Hidden weapon ports opened along the hulls. What had appeared to be simple metal plates shifted and realigned, revealing complex patterns that seemed to twist in impossible ways. Metamorphosis Stage 1 complete, the ship's AI announced. Beginning Stage 2 activation. The bridge itself started to change. Walls that had seemed solid became transparent, giving them a full view of space in every direction. The simple control stations transformed into floating interfaces of pure energy. "Incredible," Vax whispered. The council member had insisted on staying aboard to witness everything. "All this time, we thought we were seeing decay, but it was just camouflage." "Better to be underestimated," Reed said, remembering the ancient captain's log. "Our ancestors hid their true power so completely that even we forgot about it." New displays appeared, showing the approaching Devourer fleet. The massive biomechanical creatures had already consumed 3 more worlds, growing larger with each feast. Modern civilization's most powerful weapons had barely scratched them. "Enemy analysis complete," the AI reported. "Devourer evolution has progressed by 47% since last encounter. Adjusting combat protocols." The ship hummed with power as its weapons came online. What had looked like primitive missile tubes were actually quantum lance projectors. The simple radio antennas transformed into reality warping field generators. "How?" Tom asked, staring at the readings. "How did they build something this advanced?" The AI answered, its voice taking on a more human quality. "Humanity faced extinction. All resources, all knowledge, all effort went into this fleet. A civilization sacrificed itself to create these ships." Tactical displays showed the Devourers changing course, finally noticing the activated fleet. The massive creatures accelerated, sensing a threat they recognized from ancient battles. "They remember us," Reed realized. After all these thousands of years, they remember what humanity built to fight them. The flagship's engines pulsed, and reality seemed to bend around them. Stars blurred as the fleet moved in ways modern ships couldn't match. Distance meant something different to these vessels. Final metamorphosis stage beginning, the AI announced. "All personnel, prepare for full awakening." The entire fleet began to glow with inner light. Energy patterns that had laid dormant for millennia emerged on their hulls, forming shapes that hurt to look at. The simple warships transformed into something that straddled the line between technology and magic. "By the stars," Vax breathed, watching the transformation. "We called you primitives. We laughed at your ships. But this is beyond anything we imagined possible." Reed smiled grimly as the fleet completed its awakening. "Humanity didn't forget how to build great things. We just learned when to hide them." The Devourers were closing fast now, their massive forms visible to the naked eye. But for the first time since they appeared, Reed felt hope. The ancient fleet was awake, its true power unleashed. "All ships report ready for combat," the AI announced. "Beginning attack sequence. For Earth, for humanity, for all life." The final battle was about to begin, and the galaxy was about to learn why humanity's ancestors had sacrificed everything to build this fleet. As the ancient fleet prepared for battle, the ship's AI began sharing more of humanity's lost history. Holographic images filled the bridge, showing Earth as it was thousands of years ago. A world of incredible technology and achievements. 5,000 years ago, the AI explained, humanity reached the stars. They built wonders that your modern civilizations are only beginning to imagine. But then they detected the Devourers approaching the galaxy. The images showed massive cities, floating continents, and ships that dwarfed even the current fleet. Earth was beautiful, advanced, perfect, until the first wave of Devourers arrived. The first battle lasted 1 year, the AI continued. Humanity won, but at a terrible cost. Half of Earth's population was lost. Their greatest cities were destroyed, but they learned how to fight the enemy. Tom watched the recordings with tears in his eyes. We had all of this, and we gave it up. They gave it up to save everyone. Reed realized, understanding at last, not just humanity. Every species that would ever evolve in this galaxy. The AI confirmed this with its next revelation. Earth's scientists discovered something terrible. The Devourers hadn't just attacked randomly. They were following a pattern, clearing galaxies of life every few thousand years. Earth would be safe for a time, but eventually they would return. New images showed the Great Evacuation. Millions of ships carrying billions of people, scattering to thousands of worlds. But they weren't running away. It was all planned, Reed said softly. They separated humanity on purpose, didn't they? Correct, the AI replied. The Devourers could track large concentrations of advanced technology. So humanity split itself apart. They settled on primitive worlds, deliberately forgetting their technology. They mixed with local species, spread their genes across the galaxy. They became everyone and no one. Vax stood up suddenly. The genetic tests. Every species in the galaxy has at least some DNA markers that we could never explain. Pieces that didn't fit their evolutionary pattern. Human DNA, Lisa whispered. We're all part human, every species in the council. The AI showed the final phase of the plan. While humanity scattered and hid, a select group stayed behind. They poured every remaining resource into building this fleet. Ships that could hide for thousands of years, growing stronger as they waited. Ships that could recognize the enemy and fight them with weapons that broke the laws of physics. The Devourers expected to find primitive worlds when they returned, the AI explained. Instead, they found societies with just enough human DNA to activate these ships. Every colony, every mixing of species, was calculated to create defenders who could use this technology when the time came. New alerts flashed across the bridge. The Devourers were almost in range, their massive forms blocking out the stars. That's why the ships recognize all of us, Tom said. Human DNA is spread throughout every council race. We're all descendants of Earth. Reed looked at Vax, seeing his alien features in a new light. Somewhere in the council members' ancestors was a human who had given up everything, knowing their descendants would be needed one day. Your people didn't lose their civilization, Vax said, his voice filled with awe. They sacrificed it to save everyone else, to give us all a chance. The ancient fleet's weapons came fully online, ready for the battle that humanity had spent 5,000 years preparing for. Final systems check complete, the AI announced. All ships at maximum power. The Legacy Protocol is now active. Legacy Protocol? Reed asked. Humanity's final gift to their descendants, the AI replied. Everything they learned about the Devourers, every weapon they developed, every strategy they created, it's all in these ships. And now, it's time to use it. The Devourers launched their first attack, but the ancient fleet was ready. 5,000 years of waiting was about to end. The battle that humanity had sacrificed everything to prepare for was finally beginning. The void of space erupted with light as the first Devourer attack slammed into the ancient fleet's defenses. What should have torn the ships apart instead broke against shields that bent reality itself. Return fire, Reed ordered, his voice steady despite the chaos around him. The fleet moved as one, executing battle plans 5,000 years in the making. Weapons that had been disguised as primitive cannons revealed their true nature. Beams of pure quantum energy lanced out, cutting through the Devourers' supposedly indestructible armor. They're actually hurting them, Tom shouted, watching the tactical display. The Devourers are falling back. But the ancient enemy wasn't retreating. The massive biomechanical creatures were combining, forming something even larger. Dozens of world-eating monsters merged into one terrifying form that dwarfed even their previous size. As predicted, the AI announced calmly, initiating Unity Protocol. The ancient fleet began its own transformation. Ships linked together with beams of light, sharing power and consciousness across what had once been empty space. The simple formation they'd held became a complex pattern that seemed to twist in impossible ways. "What's happening?" Vax asked, gripping his seat as reality shimmered around them. Humanity didn't just build better weapons, Reed realized, watching the displays. They learned to fight like the Devourers themselves, as one unified force. The combined Devourer launched an attack that could have cracked a planet in half. The fleet's response defied everything the watching galaxy thought it knew about physics. Space itself seemed to fold around the ships, the enemy's attack passing through holes in reality. Now, the AI commanded, "All ships, execute final attack pattern." For Earth, the ancient fleet's formation suddenly made sense. They weren't just ships arranged in space. They were points on a vast, geometric pattern. Energy flowed between them, forming lines of pure light. In the center of their formation, space began to twist. "They're creating something," Lisa gasped. "Something impossible." The Devourer sensed the danger too late. It tried to retreat, but the fleet's pattern had trapped it in a web of altered space. Energy from 30 ships combined into one massive beam. But it wasn't just energy. It was a spear of concentrated reality, forged from the same forces that held the universe together. 5,000 years, Reed said softly. 5,000 years of hiding, waiting, preparing for this moment. The spear struck. The Devourer, terror of galaxies and destroyer of civilizations, screamed in a frequency that shook the stars themselves. Its impossible armor shattered. Its world-consuming form began to break apart. "Multiple Devourer signatures detected," the AI reported. "They're trying to separate and escape." "Not this time," Reed said. Humanity didn't sacrifice everything just to let them escape again. The fleet's pattern shifted. What had been a spear became a net, catching each piece of the breaking Devourer. Quantum fire consumed the fragments, erasing them not just from space, but from reality itself. In the aftermath of the battle, the ancient fleet hung in space, its true power finally revealed to the galaxy. The ships were damaged but triumphant. Humanity's 5,000-year gambit had paid off. "Send word to the Council," Reed told Vax. Tell them humanity's gift to the galaxy is complete. The Devourers are gone." Vax looked at the fleet with new eyes. "We called these ships primitive. We laughed at them. But they were the most advanced weapons ever created, hidden in plain sight for thousands of years." The AI's voice filled the bridge one last time. "Protocol complete. Ancient humanity's mission is fulfilled. The galaxy is safe. Now their descendants, all of you, carrying their legacy in your blood, can build your own future." The ships began to power down, their impossible weapons going quiet. They had served their purpose. The threat that humanity had sacrificed everything to defeat was finally gone. "What happens now?" Tom asked. Reed smiled, looking out at the stars. Stars that would now see new civilizations rise without fear of the Devourers. "Now we honor their sacrifice. We learn from what they built, and we remember that sometimes the greatest strength lies in knowing when to hide your power and wait for the right moment." The ancient fleet, no longer needed to save the galaxy, would now stand as a monument to humanity's greatest achievement. Not the technology they built, but the future they sacrificed everything to protect.